When I was a kid, I watched the restaurant owner hand over protection money to the mob without a fight. I made up my mind. When I grew up, I was going to join a gang. But on my very first day with Costello's crew, he shipped me off to the police academy. His plan was to plant a network of moles inside the force. It was the exact opposite of what I'd envisioned for myself. But since I was working for Costello, I went along with it. I threw myself into the academy, studied hard, stood out, aced every course, and completed the program with flying colors. I became a genuinely good cop. Costello even showed up at my graduation to congratulate me in person. Thank you, Frank. On my first day on the job, I got word that a major operation was going down that night. Costello was set to make a deal with a buyer in about an hour, and the police had already gotten a tip. They had the factory surrounded, a full-blown stakeout with no gaps. I immediately started sweating. I grabbed the first chance I got to pass the intel along.
Hi, Dad.
Yes.
Something big came up at work. I'm not going to be home for supper.
Your mother worked all goddamn day. We'll just have to sit down without you and your friends.
Oh no, my friends are still coming. When I saw my boss walking over, I smoothly switched gears on the phone, pretending I was chatting with my dad while slipping the information to Costello in code. But Costello said the deal was still on. Then, the police changed their game plan on the fly. They were going to use surveillance cameras to confirm identities first, then lock onto the suspects' phones to make the bust. I had no choice but to risk tipping off Costello again. The moment Costello appeared on the surveillance feed, he got my message. Once he knew he was being watched, he ordered all his guys to shut off their phones. He wasn't about to walk away from the money. The cops quickly noticed something was off. Every dealer's phone went dark at the same time, all except one. Meanwhile, Captain Queenan was getting intel from his own mole on the inside.
Buyers are there.
No direct contact with guys who would have us advantage. Not to my guy.
Someone embedded deep within Costello's inner circle, one of his most trusted guys. Billy's story was a mirror image of mine. 10 years ago, he graduated from the academy with a perfect record. But because of his unusual family background, Queenan recruited him as an undercover operative the moment he joined the force. Since there was no hiding the fact that he'd been through the academy, Billy had to manufacture his own criminal record. That was the only way to get himself fired from the force and thrown in prison. 5 years later, Billy made parole, but he was still required to check in weekly for court-ordered therapy sessions. First thing he did after getting out was track down his cousin and use that connection to work his way into the gang. He earned his cousin's trust, then hustled every single day to prove himself, until he finally caught Costello's eye. But earning Costello's real trust was a whole different beast. Costello wanted to test whether this hungry young climber was actually a cop.
How'd he go?
Complain?
Yeah. That was his problem.
He said he had a problem.
I just said he had a fucking problem.
Show me around. Later.
Makes me curious to see you in this neighborhood.
When he checked Billy's arm and found nothing, he told him not to take it personally. Then Costello pulled out a severed hand and said he'd found a listening device inside the last guy who betrayed him. Billy was shaken to the bone. He ditched every piece of equipment he had on him. Queenan could see Billy was reaching his breaking point, so he made a promise. Take down this criminal organization, and your badge gets restored. But the bust that night still fell apart. The cops never expected a seasoned operator like Costello to escape by water. Billy immediately realized there was a leak inside the department, and Costello figured out there was a rat in his crew.